Hey there, little buddies, and welcome to yet another edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast. In this episode, we discuss Chapter 7 of the FX original series, Legion. I'm Mothman, and I'm joined by the algebra to my awkward hand movements, Nathaniel.
I didn't think his hand movements were that awkward.
I mean, if you take the algebra out...
Yeah, okay, that's true.
If you just saw someone doing that...
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Then it's really weird. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
all right.
But like, my point is that you and me together make sense. Otherwise, just awkwardness.
Fair enough. That's good. All of a sudden, what you're saying is I make you less awkward.
Yes.
Thanks.
But I also make you less awkward.
Yes, you do.
Imagine, and if I need to do a proof of concept, I will post this episode with one of us silent and just prove it.
Oh, that would be really awkward.
Right? Oh, God, that would be the most awkward. It's kind of like someone showed me the other day. We were talking about not liking laugh tracks in general.
Yeah.
Because they're talking about Seinfeld, and it's a great show, but like it's hard for me to rewatch because of that. And someone posted a YouTube video of Big Bang Theory without a laugh track, in which case it's just abysmal.
I saw it. I saw that clip. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
I was just going to say that someday I'm going to do half a podcast, and I'll just post it and publish it that way and just say this is half a podcast, and it will just be like one guy talking to himself. Thank you for the brilliant idea. That's all. I'm just going to
so it's going to be a full podcast.
It will be, but I'll call it half a podcast because it's just one guy and then a bunch of awkward silence.
You should call it Podcast Half Full or Pessimism. The Pessimism Podcast.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
All right, don't steal those ideas, guys. They're all copyrighted, all right?
Sorry, yeah.
Anyway, if you love us, then, tell us that on social media. If you don't love us or have ideas or feedback or any of that stuff, also tell us those things. We're on what all the kids are on. The Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams, the Reddits, YouTube. I think that's all of them. But the other thing
the kids are on Snapchat. The kids are actually all on Snapchat.
I know, and I don't know how to market on Snapchat.
I don't know how to use
It's
Snapchat.
very weird and esoteric. I mean, I guess if it was just us posting videos of us with funny animal faces, that would be one thing. But we're going to maybe get into Snapchat. I just don't know how to use it for our podcast, basically.
Yeah,
so,
we'll figure it out.
Anyway, the other thing I wanted to share is we have hit 50 reviews on iTunes. Now, pretty excited about that, but
yeah.
I know there's a lot of people that are listening that just haven't taken the time. So if you do have the time, please spend it on that, simply because it's the easiest way for people to find us. The more ratings and reviews we have and the more people subscribe, the easier it is for someone to find it when they, for example, just search the term Legion. There's a lot of things that have Legion in it. The more popular we are, the easier it is for them to find our show. To put it in perspective, we're very proud of this, by the way. We just hit 30,000 listeners, which is exciting.
Wow.
9,000 of those have come from the last 30 days. So in the last 30 days, we have got more listeners than the first 6 months when we started last July. So
that's so cool.
Super excited about that. And the last thing I'll throw out there, the last where I will peddle, is Patreon. We started a Patreon account. So the other thing is, if you don't want to try Blue Apron or Audible, or you've already tried it once, or none of the stuff on our wish list, like, you buy because you do digital, like, I get it, but say you still love the 160 plus episodes we put out and want to support us, you can do something as little as $1 a month just to go to our operating costs. We don't pocket anything. Basically, we just spend money every month to bring this stuff to you, and we would appreciate it if you can support it. But there's plenty of ways, such as social media and iTunes, to support us, so I'm done with that. But what I'm not done with is our first segment, because I haven't started it, and that's Sum It Up in a Tweet.
Oh yeah, we're summing it up, just summing it up, summing it up. Oh yeah, we're summing it up. Oh yeah, we're summing it up, just summing it up, summing it up and up.
Tweet.
I don't know if the audience caught that. It kind of sounded like a balloon deflating. Just full disclosure, I don't do this often, but I'm podcasting with the dog on the couch next to me. So You will occasionally hear a few sounds, one of which is as he just kind of moves his tongue around his jowls. You will occasionally hear a balloon deflate because he takes giant deep breaths.
Yeah, I thought he farted.
Nope. And then he's pretty good about that. And then some minor shuffling on top of it being a day podcast, so just cards and stuff. So I do apologize, but you know what? I'm not here to apologize. I'm here to summon it up in a tweet. But Nathan, do you want to go first, or should I go first?
Yeah, man, I'll go first because I'm ready to hear your killer fucking tweet. and I want you to drive it home. So I'm going to go first.
All right,
and
let's
you can follow this up. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stuck inside the astral plane, British David must explain a symphony played by Germain to the silent film in David's brain.
God, yours are so damn good.
Boom, 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 boom.
That was
boom,
140
boom.
characters?
I have no idea.
Oh, you fuck. No wonder yours are so good. Yours are probably always double tweets.
Hold on, this is not a double tweet. It's not a double tweet. Let me go.
You
paste
copy
it
and
right
paste
now.
that in the Twitter, you asshole. Jesus.
Let me see how over it is.
I went through so many variations, not ever being able to actually say what I wanted to say.
Because you try to limit it.
I know.
All right, you're right. It's not a tweet. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm writing it now. Pasting. It's I've got 13 left.
No.
Yeah, 13 left.
That's crazy. I don't
I'll
understand
fucking tweet it. I'll fucking tweet
I don't
it.
even, you can't tweet it. I don't even understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me. I love that you said astral plane. There, without getting into too many specifics, Julia's sister recently moved, and I guess her youngest son, who's like 3, he's very young, has been seeing a ghostly visage throughout the house. And, I'm not believing in much of that stuff, so I just kind of feel like he saw a movie and he's scared, right? But she posted it on Facebook, and some dude, who I guess she knows, and I don't know the guy, but it was the best thing ever. He basically said, here, I'm going to do it in the creepy voice I assume this man that I've never met has. Oh, that's concerning. I'll definitely look into it. Give me a few minutes to get to the astro plane and scope things out. Like, totally deadpan, basically said he was going to remote in from hundreds of miles away. But the best thing about it, though, is he said astro plane, not astral.
Astro, I heard astro. Yeah, that's what I heard.
Which made me laugh.
Astro.
So, anyway, I'm going to do my tweet now. And to even make mine fit, which is not impressive at all, I had to do dumb things like spell the with D-A, like duh. I had to do a dog emoji for the word dogs. I had to do W/ for with, and yet it's nowhere near as good as yours. So I'm just going to show my, terrible piece of shit. All right. But, you know what? It kind of rhymes. Can you do a beat?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, no, just do it with your mouth.
Oh.
It just sounds like you're mildly shuffling stuff around on your desk. There's no energy there.
All right.
Yeah. What? Zombies around the bend. Dogs aren't man's best friend. With nothing else to do, David goes to school, where he explains the whole show to dumb viewers. That's it. I couldn't make the last piece rhyme. Anyway, zombies around the bend. Dogs aren't man's best friend.
Viewers.
With nothing else to do, David goes to school, where he explains the whole show to dumb viewers.
Well done.
And that was summing it up in a tweet. All right, so let's get into the episode, which, we've talked about this a few times before, but at this point, to me, this is a horror show.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah, there's more horror sequences than any genre. Like, there's plenty of genre mixage still, and we get some of that in this, but it's almost all, like, circling around horror sequences. They'll make it seem like it's an action horror sequence, or in this one, there's the silent film horror sequence. You know? And so, like, they mess with format, but genre, for the most part, yeah, I'm with you. It's a horror thing.
Well, yeah, and to me, like, horror is far and above my favorite genre. But you're not a big horror fan, right? You're a bit of a puss?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a puss, man. I'm a little scared. I wet my pants and I go into a movie theater. No, it's not that I don't like horror films. I when someone goes, hey, this is a super good horror film and you have to go watch this, I go watch it. I enjoy getting the shit scared out of me, but most horror movies aren't like shit yourself scary. They're just like really good psychological horror films or have good format things to them. I just never got, I don't know, like the horror films of the 80s and 90s, like I just didn't see a lot of them, and I just still have yet to see a lot of them. And there's so many other things out there to watch. I haven't gotten to sit down and just consume a bunch of horror films.
Yeah,
but I like them.
Yeah, to me, like I've always been very much into horror ever since I was a little kid. I shared on the Kong podcast, like when I was younger, I loved horror because of the Muppet Babies cartoon, where they would, open. Did you ever watch that cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, they go open a door and they'd have a random flash of like black and white footage. So you'd see everything from like Buster Keaton to like Nosferatu. So I used to like rent black and white Universal horror films. I did my first novel I wrote was in kindergarten. It was Jaws versus King Kong, and I drew
Nice.
Blood and Crown at my Christian private school, and they didn't like that. They called my parents in. Anyway, I've always just been kind of obsessed with it, but even it's something that didn't really go away as I got older. And to me, the reason I think it's so interesting is ultimately horror is about the unknown, and that's very much what the show is about. And even if it is like a slasher, which I mean are kind of like the genre I don't like, for the most part. I mean, there are definitely some good ones, but they're kind of just, I don't know. It's kind of like mainstream comedy is like, I'm a big comedy fan, but I'd much rather watch like Kevin Smith or Coen Brothers or Wes Anderson than half of the comedies out there, because there's enough other stuff going on. But anyway, I say all that to say, like, what even the slashers, though, it's almost like the unknown aspect is how you would deal with that. Like, if confronted with just that type of
crazy
stuff,
situation,
how do you handle it?
And I'm not that kind of guy who's like, ew, horror, blood, that's all that it is. It's nothing good. It's just disgusting. I don't want to watch that. Like, that's not at all. I just like horror genre to me has always been, it's like death metal in music to me. It's not something that I despise or hate, and there's a lot of people who really, really love it. I've just never consumed it.
Sure.
Just because I haven't had a reason to, and no one has convinced me that there's one that I need to watch that I just haven't. But I'm totally open to it. So if there are horror movie suggestions out there, I will tell you whether or not I've seen it, and then I will watch it.
All right. Well, maybe each week. I mean, AKA next episode.
Yeah,
it's about to finish.
We'll have a suggestion.
I will challenge you anyway.
But I get what you're saying with the connection to Legion, though.
Yes, very much so. But like, you get a lot of that this episode. I mean, the opening sequence with the demon in yellow eyes inside the room of globes, and he's kind of pointing on this like digital screen to reality and what's going on in the mind, and yet then it immediately switches to Aubrey Plaza, and she's talking to Amy, just like very bizarre.
Yep. Yeah, it is. And hey, how about we gonna start calling the demon with the yellow eyes what he is, right?
Yeah, which they've, we talked about just because they say the name in the preview of this episode, but they've very, I wasn't sure how they would go with it, right? Like, I wasn't sure if they'd just say this is his name, but they wouldn't get too much into the Shadow King. But like, no, Carrie obviously knows who the Shadow King is and says like,
Amal Farouk.
Yeah, but he also says like, oh, I should have known the dog's name was King. Like, really? I don't think that would have been a guess, right?
that shouldn't have given it away.
Yeah, I don't feel like, like, so Westworld's a show where...
Yep.
I was saying Westworld's a show where a lot of people, like, guess things early on. I don't think anyone was saying, like, oh, man, the dog, it's definitely Shadow King now.
I did wonder about the dog, but I'd never considered the dog's name. And it's like half of the character's alter ego's name. And so I don't think that there was a connection there that people were supposed to make. It was a very like absurd connection to make, very subtle.
Do you remember Jeff Goldblum's character in Independence Day?
Yeah.
That's kind of like how he made associations, just like giant leaps. They did a South Park episode where he, it's just something like ridiculous, like, all right, so he's sitting in a chair. Chairs are made of wood. Wood is brown. He's a brown noser. Like, it just like, what? Why would those? Okay, fine. And that's how we would solve everything in Independence Day.
I mean, it's not far off from later, and we'll talk about it, but it's not far off from David with the chalkboard in this episode. Yeah. Because he's just sort of like, well, there must have been a fight, and my dad must have won. And it's like, based on what information must that have happened? How are you just coming to these conclusions and then drawing pictures of things that you're just... It's like David just made up a story, and then in the end, British David was just going to be like, so none of that happened, but good job. Yeah. That was a fun little mind exercise, but no, here's what really happened.
So do you ever have moments in dreams where you unequivocally, like, and confidently know facts, and then you wake up and you think back to the dream and you don't necessarily recall them, but you're like, there's no way I know that. I don't know that.
Yeah, I couldn't think of one off the top of my head, but I know the feeling that you're talking
Me
about.
neither. Yeah, there's that very weird feeling where you're like, why? How was I confidently talking about like? So I know this for real. Like I know this fact, and then this fact over here I know, but in the middle I was BSing, but it was totally real, and it just I don't know, like so.
Right. Well, no, like there's a dream where like we're going to space, and I'm part of the mission going to space, but then the guy who's in charge dies, so I take over, and I start just like barking orders and saying what they need to do, and I'm like in it, man. I know what I'm talking about, and then I wake up and I'm like, I don't know shit about rockets,
but it feels like you know it. So like I don't know this. I mean, the whole thing about the show is they do try to give some realism to what the mind process is like. So whether that's just plot holes and just giant leaps of faith, or whether it's intentional, like I honestly don't know because the show's so well done. I would buy it either way.
Yeah.
Since we're already talking about the chalkboard scene, I'm sure you noticed this, but the way he draws his father, his real father, is as Professor X, a bald man in a suit.
Well, yes, it is, and then his voice later is slightly Patrick Stewart.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
Did you hear that? The like, honey, I'm home. That like,
yeah. So
sort of deeper British voice.
Yeah, so they're obviously like lining that up. The show's been a success. We're gonna get a second season. Patrick Stewart said he would do the father, or be the father.
Wait, that actually happened?
What?
That really happened? You're saying that it was renewed, and Patrick Stewart said that?
Well, Patrick Stewart said in interviews for Logan, because he's retiring the role, he said like I'd definitely do it for Legion.
Oh, killer!
So he's on board. We're gonna get a second season. So at which point, like maybe they'll go down that route, or at least have like a cameo, or at least have a voiceover.
I was gonna say, at minimum, a cameo or one scene in one episode would be enough. They don't have to. He doesn't need to be a series regular, but that would be super cool.
Yeah, but honestly, so there's a few things that happen in this episode that are heavy exposition, but they're done in a way where it's still interesting. And I wonder how much of this is like Noah Hawley saying like this needs to happen, this is pivotal, and how much of it is like producers and showrunners and network executives saying like, look, it's a cool show, we really dig it, but you're an episode out of the climax, and I don't think half your audience is going to really understand what's going on unless you break it down for them.
And that's fine. I don't mind pure exposition, like if it's done in a creative way. I like the way that this was done more than I like the way that Carrie showed up in the sky in like season or episode 3 and just started talking. This was like, if they were gonna really vomit information on us for 5 straight minutes, the creativity of the animation in this, the two Davids, the British David, which is really funny.
Yeah.
You know, all that combined together, I was just smiling through the whole scene. And I did think like, wow, this is super telly. This is very exposition-y.
Yeah, and well, like the Carrie scene from earlier, which she dragged on slightly, it was also fairly short. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like, we just got out of the mission. Here's a brief. It's not much different than like James Bond getting out of a mission and just be given the next order. So
that's true.
It wasn't that eventful, other than the watch technology, but it also, you know, didn't really bother me. The other scene in this episode that's exposition as well is there's that moment when Sid and Carrie meet, and Sid's also apparently pieced most of it together. But
yeah.
It's just funny because she's basically giving the exposition of what happened and how we have to get out. But she's doing it and smiling and kind of comical, and
yeah, that was a funny scene.
Yeah, the way it was done worked. It also kind of gets rid of something that Fox and I absolutely hate, and I'm sure I don't think anyone likes it, but I can't stand in shows when things go awry simply because people don't communicate, particularly if like it seems like they should just communicate. Like every now and then I get miscommunications make sense, but there's also like tons of moments in TV shows where it's like he's clearly pissed at you because of what you did, and you're not sharing the fact that the reason you did it was, you know, because of what everyone else knows. Why wouldn't you share that? Like,
yeah, the whole conflict is around the fact that both of you are hiding information, and you're hiding the information because you feel that there's conflict.
Yeah,
you're dumb. You're dumb.
Yeah,
right?
It's like we just wasted 2 episodes of a worthless fight because you guys couldn't talk. You know.
Yeah. Yep.
This doesn't
that's a cool
happen,
way of,
right?
Yeah. And I know that feeling. I'm glad that you articulated it that way, because I'm like, oh, that's a good way of saying that. But yeah, that does not happen in this, which is great.
Yeah. So to me, it's also like, okay, you know, have your cake and eat it too. Exposition can be annoying, but it's more annoying for miscommunication. And as long as you can find a slightly unique way to do exposition where it just doesn't feel like you're reading a synopsis on the Netflix, then I'm all for it, which this episode did with aplomb.
Especially exposition that would need, like this is talking about what happened years ago, and no scene of this show has taken place when David was a child except that one flashback. And they would alternatively go back and just do a flashback and show you all this as well. But that's unnecessary when this scene is equally as cool and gets the exact same information across. You know, you don't need to go film a whole flashback sequence and cast a bunch of people to play parents and stuff like that when you could just have one David talk to another David and tell him the story, and this awesome, cool classroom scene happens.
Absolutely.
Other note, since we're on this scene, we skipped into minute 30 of the episode, but it's fine. David, British David, first of all, Dan Stevens is British, right? So that's his real British accent. But I saw The Tale as Old as Time this week.
Beauty and the Beast.
Yep. I am so in love with Dan Stevens right now. With this and that combined, like, this dude's a cool actor. He's just like, he's cool.
So you like Beauty and the Beast then?
Oh, I did. I liked it very much. I had plenty of little criticisms about it, and it was not the best movie ever made, but it's certainly a nice movie. If you are at all a Disney person, you're gonna enjoy the shit out of the movie, and I mean, I would watch it again. I guess that's something to say. There are plenty of movies I'd see and I'd not watch ever again, but just be like, yeah, it's fine. But I'd watch that one again.
Yeah, we've done a decent amount of Boob Tube Buddies Network has done a decent amount of movie podcasts because Mike and I did Logan and Kong, and then the Bettys just did Beauty and the Beast. There's obviously some other movies coming out. We're going to do Power Rangers, but the one question I have about Beauty and the Beast, because you can listen to a whole hour podcast about it, is is he just a voice? Like it's CGI?
Man, though. Yeah, yes, he is primarily a voice.
Do you know if he did motion capture? Like, is it his acting and then they just put CGI on it? Or is there, is there an Andy Serkis?
I have not seen pictures of him in blue with the dots all over him or anything like that, but there's no way it's not motion capture. Today, with the technology we have, everything is motion capture. This is the only largely animated character in this film, and they cast a really good actor to do it, and the expressions on that character's face, it was mocap, like it had to be. You could just tell mocap now.
Well, I'm sure it's mocap, but I guess my question is, I wonder if Dan Stevens was him.
If it was him.
Because a lot of times they have, like, an Andy Serkis do it or something, and it's
because it is sort of this oafy sort of guy. Well, first, he does get a few scenes where it's actually him. You do see him as human. Because he does play. Okay. He does play. I mean, you've seen the animated movie. At the end, he's not a beast anymore. And so they didn't cast like Fabio to play, the prince. Like it's him with like long blonde hair. But yeah, that is a good question. He also though has a song that wasn't in the animated movie.
Oh God.
Yeah, and it's the only. My wife and I were talking on the way home, and we were like, "Yeah, the original songs, they were all right. Like they fit, I guess. They weren't that stellar. They just sort of like they were there, except his. Oh my God, his song was so good. Like it stands alone on its own. I would go listen to that song on the soundtrack independently, but he's super good. His voice talents are very good. If he mocapped, amazing. I'll find that out later. Also, when he's in the coffin in this episode and British David first starts talking after seeing the movie, I was like, oh, yeah, because he starts sort of talking a little lower. And so he's got a slightly deeper voice when he's talking in that coffin because he's trying to he's talking very close range.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, man, I can hear the beast in his voice. It's totally same dude. Yeah.
Well, at this point, we have a new sponsor and we want to throw to an Audible ad. But I don't think we recorded one, so...
Nope, not yet.
Fuck it, let's do it live, right?
You want to do it live?
Let's do it live. You can do this, right? You've been practicing all week.
Yeah, I got my ad. You want me to do my ad live?
I think I want you to do your ad live. I'm really excited about this.
I've got to bring in a friend to do my ad. I'm gonna have to bring in a friend of mine.
Oh, okay, all right. I hear them walking in right now.
Yep. I'm gonna step out of the room, and. I'm stomping my feet and tapping on my desk like that. Sounds like somebody walking into the room.
Just do the
my friend is a whore.
You're a centaur or something like that, or a minotaur.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, here she is now. Oh my God. Hello.
Oh my God, it's Miss Doubtfire.
No, my name is Julia Child.
Oh, hi, Julia.
Do you know me?
Meryl Streep played you in some movie at some point?
Ah, yes. I'm a famous French chef, you asshat. You asshat.
God, all right.
Meryl
Well,
Streep does not define me.
well, I'm going to go ahead and leave the room, and you do your thing.
Hello, I'm Julia Child. I'm a famous French chef. Chances are you know me from my famous cookbook. You know, the one you got in that gift exchange years ago and put on your bookshelf to make it look like you care about cooking. But I know your dirty secret. You can't cook or read. Reading is hard. But good news! Blue Apron is here to help. Just go to blueapron.com/BTB and you'll receive $30 off meals sent right to your door. So you can go back to pretending you know what bourguignon means. Your friends will be so impressed.
Oh my goodness, that was fantastic, Julia. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Julia. Thank you. You can go back downstairs now, and yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, and to the point she didn't talk about, like, because you can't read or cook. You tell us which recipe you want, and we will record us reading the instructions.
That's a great added bonus.
Yeah. So you message us after you've done your BTB coupon, which we can tell, by the way. So don't try to fool us, and we will read you off the instructions. That's a BTB promise if I ever heard one. All right.
Man,
Cool.
blueapron.com. I'm trying it.
So normally when we throw to an ad, that's when we reconvene and say, hey, what have we not talked about? So I'm just going to ask you on air, what have we not talked about? I mean, there's plenty, but Jesus.
Shit. Yeah, okay, so here's something that's an experience I have in life with the way technology is today. I start a new TV show I really like. I find myself on IMDb looking up the actors, right? And then what IMDb will say when you just go generally to an episodes page, or to a show's page, not an episodes page, is who the actor is, what character they play, and how many episodes they're in. And I often spoil it for myself. I often will see like, oh shit, this person's not in the whole thing. I wonder if they die or whatever happens, right?
Sure.
I love when that is wrong, or rather has withheld information or didn't have the information when I first looked it up, because there are two actors in this that I assumed were only in one episode of the whole show. And we got Jermaine Clements back.
Yup.
I didn't expect that. So when he took the helmet off, I'm like, oh shit, IMDb was wrong. Shit, yeah.
Nice.
And so I was very excited.
I didn't know IMDb only said one.
It did. It said he was in one. It also said that the investigator, the interrogator from episode 1 is only in one episode.
Which, big reveal. He's burned to a crisp and fucking pissed.
So when I saw him, I was like, oh shit, again, man, IMDb fucking me up, man. So I was really like, just kind of taken aback. So I like that though, because I shouldn't have looked on IMDb in the first place. I should not have ruined it for myself. That's what I would have felt if I had not done that. So anyway, so I was super excited to see Jermaine back as Oliver Bird. But he comes back and he doesn't remember his wife. When he's told he has a wife, he assumes she's some kind of Asian because he has strong recollections of her being Asian, but she's not. And when he finally
he also says, I seem to have intimate recollections from that one. Anyway, so I think he's implied that he cheated on Melody with Carrie's other half, and he thought she was Asian.
Oh shit! Oh, that would be interesting. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I mean, it also just might be like a silly like improv type joke that Jermaine, like, I don't know how much ad-libbing he does since he's a comedian, so it also may mean absolutely nothing. But
yeah.
He also, though, doesn't he recognizes but doesn't quite recognize Melanie, so it also very much might just be kind of the same stuff we're dealing with David. Like, he's been out of it so long, what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, I don't think it's a thing about that character at all. I think that character is probably like a good, nice, person who's loyal and cool, but in having been stuck inside the astral plane for that long, yeah, I can imagine that something's going on in his brain. Something has tainted his memory.
Yes. So we get him back. I mean, continually, he is just hilarious. Like, there's a really funny line earlier. He's like, I heard today was daylight. I don't know why I'm doing. Is he British in it? He is British in it, right?
He is, yeah.
Or he's like just.
It's his just regular accent. It's his.
It's just New Zealand accent. So anyway, which it's hard for me to do unless it's Flight of the Conchords because it's a little more high pitched. But anyway, he says like I heard it was daylight savings time, which, what is that? Carrie explains it. He goes, "Oh, that's not very interesting. I thought you were literally saving daylight."
Right, yeah.
And then he also says, like, are you a tenor? I was thinking of starting a barbershop quartet.
Yeah, I think he said that David and him were starting a barbershop.
Yeah, he did, which is great. At which point, I'm going to throw you on the spot. I'm going to give you a note. You give me the third up, and then I'm going to do the fifth up. You ready for this?
Okay, yep, go. Boom. No, you just matched my note. You did the third.
Fuck. All right, one more time, guys. Me. And we just matched the note again.
It's me.
Me. All right, that's why we're not in a barbershop quartet. Moving on. God damn. Okay.
Hold on. It's the best part of the podcast.
It is the best part of the podcast when we just throw to that, especially because none of this is pre-planned. I never even send you my notes. I like just to fuck with you more than anything. Well, the other thing is, I guess we kind of confirmed that I just took over this other dude that you're best friends with and is going to come on the podcast.
Yeah. So I again also a little still confused by this guy's role because I don't actually think that he just took him over because then after she destroys the eye, so hey, the eye dies in some capacity or another.
Yeah.
Right? He gets literally crumpled like a piece of old newspaper.
Yeah, so that is such cool effect.
It was really
and
cool.
They could really pull it off because it was like grainy silent film look. Because otherwise, I think the CGI budget they have, it would look kind of cheesy.
It would have, but
I also love how Aubrey Plaza looks in that scene. Like she's kind of a mix.
I was going to say my favorite moment in this episode is when she shows up and dances down the stairs. But what does she look like a mix of?
I mean, so it's a silent film, right? So it's very reminiscent of Cabinet of Caligari, which is one of the early 20s films. Very slanted architecture, everything's very exaggerated and weird, and that is a very big influence on Tim Burton. She basically just has Tim Burton's hair.
She has Tim Burton's hair, and I kept thinking Eraserhead, kind of she had this very Lynchian sort of the suit was very Eraserhead, which was also black and white, right? So
I just love that that whole thing was silent film, and we got the little so good.
Yeah, me too. When it happened, I was like, okay. I was like, it's just a change in format just to fuck with the genre. That's it. It's just the show creator being like, what would be cool? And there's no other narrative reason for it.
I mean, there's not another narrative reason for it. I would guess, other than the fact that they feel
music.
Yes, but also they feel one. I have a note in here that this is the only time I've ever been okay with dubstep. Because it started off as a dubstep, boom, 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 boom. But then it very quickly just became an electronic background with actual orchestral stuff, on top of it. Yeah. But I also kind of actually felt the silent film stuff worked narratively, just because they are separated in this weird zombie world. Meanwhile, Carrie met with her, but then is very separated. He's with Oliver. You kind of have all these people siloed into their own worlds, which are all ultimately in, David's mind, and then they go back to reality. So I don't know. It also is they can't make contact with anyone.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, they literally can't communicate, so everything they communicate has to be done in this sort of weird no talking format, and so silent film works really well. And
that didn't hit is home for me until at the end when Carrie is pissed that the other Carrie left her.
Yep.
And she was that cut off from him anyway.
And so after the eye dies, you see the eye in real life, in the currently frozen moment.
And you see him turn bleeding.
Yeah, well, but he turns back from our character, the guy we thought he was impersonating. He turns from that back into the eye. But that guy doesn't then die in the astral plane. He's still alive. They're still wheeling his body around, or not anymore wheeling him around. Now he's walking.
But don't they find him stabbed?
Yeah, and then they find him stabbed. But I think he's a separate mutant than the Eye. I think the Eye was impersonating him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, so he was real, and he's now dead because he's been stabbed and like all this ruckus. And then you realize the Eye overtook like his personality. Basically, the Eye is an imposter. So when we saw him in the first few episodes, he wasn't like a mole. He just ended up getting taken over.
Yeah.
And what
Rudy is his name, yeah.
Yeah, and what I think happens is when, you know, 'cause it finally started to make a little sense to me, and people, please pick this apart if you've watched the show multiple times and have seen things we haven't, but when they go to D3 after David, you know, and he rips all those people apart and blah, 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 and they're leaving, well, when they show up, they have him, and I don't think we've seen him shift to the Eye yet, and then they leave, the Eye is in pursuit, and you see him switch for the first time. I think that's basically I think that's the Eye basically pursuing them, and he's going to go stab and take out that dude and replace him.
Yeah, but he doesn't actually do the stabbing until they're in David's home right before he comes in and shoots the gun, right?
Yeah, I think he's just been like, oh, the dude's like out at the grocery store, then I'm going to pretend to be him right now. Like, I think he's been more strategic, and then finally takes him off the
And then finally, he takes him out and then, comes in and shoots David. Cool. And that's why at the end, they wheel him back. They have him on a stretcher, right?
Yeah.
He's been stabbed. They're taking him back.
Yes.
I was going to say he's presumably dead, but I've done that before, and the person wasn't dead. So I don't know if he's dead.
Yeah.
He's a body.
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah. And then in the end, like we said, that reveal of they bring him back. Everything seems okay. And we finally get the halo on David's head. So we get to see what that does to the Shadow King. When they put Carrie's invention on his head, which is meant to keep the Shadow King at bay, not necessarily destroy it or extract it, but just keep it at bay. And it works. It puts the Shadow King in the same coffin that David was in earlier. And then, at the end, this is D3 coming up here at the end with a bunch of guns.
D3, the Mighty Ducks.
Is it D3? That's what
D3.
They are, right?
Yeah, it is D3.
Okay. Yeah.
So they all show up while they're having a nice breakfast. You know, Melanie runs back ahead of the group and just to check on Oliver since she's seen him now and not sure if it's like really him or not. You know, David catches the bullets. Like, we spent 2 episodes not in the actual moment like 3 episodes ago ended with, and then they finally rectify that. He catches the bullets. Everyone's happy. They go back. Oliver's making breakfast. Melanie's ecstatic because like it's kind of like this new life with her husband at the same time. I don't think he remembers everyone because he's been kind of in his own world for 20 plus years. But it also ends with kind of showing like that head device is kind of precarious because he gets a flash of all of them quickly, and he's like, yeah, keep that thing still. So, and it even ends with them like just freaking out and busting out of the coffin. So you're like, all right, they got to find a more permanent way to solve this thing, which hopefully will be next episode.
Hell yeah. Final thought, I fucking love this episode. I think this is a cool episode.
Oh God, me too. Yeah, no, I love everything about this episode. I really do just thoroughly enjoy the show. I think it's my favorite show on right now.
Yeah, man.
I watched our definitely favorite show this year. I don't think I'm watching anything else. I mean, it's probably my favorite show since Westworld, and then before that, Stranger Things. I mean, there's been some kick-ass TV in the last year.
Yeah. I keep last night I wanted to watch this obviously before we record this morning, and I could have woken up and watched it this morning, but last night I got home at like 1:30 in the morning.
Party animal.
I know. No, yeah, work from work. Yeah. And and I literally I had to get the show and watch it immediately. I was so excited to see what was going on. So I love being driven episode by episode wanting to watch it.
Absolutely. Cool. Anything else?
That's it, man.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else either. So at this point, do you want to put a bow on this bitch?
Hey, it's our penultimate Legion episode. We're going to bow bitch the penultimate episode?
Yeah, we are.
All right, man. Hey, you know what?
What?
See you next time, little buddies.